The Elton John AIDS Foundation was founded in 1992 with the mission to fight the global AIDS epidemic and support those affected by HIV and AIDS. We spoke with its Chief Executive Officer, Aslett, about the foundation's work over the last 32 years and what's still to be achieved if we're to end AIDS for all.
Aslett from the Elton John AIDS Foundation. Thank you very much for joining me. Just tell me a little bit of background about the foundation.
Foundation is 30 years old. Was set up by Elton around his kitchen table in America. And we're a grant-making organisation that we've worked in 97 countries around the world. So we have funded over 3,000 projects over those 30 years, $600 million. And although we're a grant maker, we don't just give away money. We actually really are in lockstep with the organizations that we work with, whether it's to find more effective ways for them to raise money or to measure the impact of the work that they do or to introduce a new technology. So it's a real partnership.
What's incredible is there is still a stigma connected to HIV and AIDS. Why do you think that is?
I think because HIV is largely transmitted through sex, and we have all kinds of views around sexual issues, and it allows us to demonize certain groups who live in a different way, love in a different way, look different. It's not so much the disease itself. It's more an opportunity to kind of isolate certain groups of society.
And one of Elton John's most famous songs is Rocket Man, and you have set up the Rocket Fund. Tell me about the fund.
The fund is a campaign to turbocharge all of the work we do. We're getting closer to the 2030 goal of ending AIDS, and there's still a lot to do. It's about those populations that are vulnerable long before HIV comes into their lives and are therefore more likely to contract HIV. So it's the LGBTQ plus population, it's people who use drugs, it's young people. We have the largest population of young people in the world right now, 1.5 billion. AIDS is the second biggest killer for that generation. And so the Rocket Fund is working right across 4 continents to turbocharge both the fighting the stigma and discrimination and finding the most effective ways to provide services to those groups.
And the UN has set a goal to end AIDS by 2030. Can it be done?
The challenge is we set these goals when things are really bad, and then the world moves on, good things and bad things happen, and the goal gets left behind. I think it is achievable, but it's going to take political will and money. And, there's a multilateral institution called the Global Fund for AIDS, TB and malaria, the 3 biggest killer diseases in the world. And it's due to be replenished next year. It's really important that we don't abandon these institutions, because we know that if we do, those diseases will come back much worse down the line, and we'll have a much bigger bill to try and sort them out.
Okay, and here in the UK, the government has committed to a renewed HIV action plan. What do you want to see specifically in that plan to help you?
Expand what's called opt-out testing in the health service, particularly in hospitals, something we pioneered and the government has now expanded. Expand PrEP, which is a really effective prevention medication that stops you being at risk of acquiring HIV, and find effective ways to stop people dropping out of care over the decades that they have to take treatment, which will be important not just for HIV but for all kinds of things, diabetes and all kinds of things. If we can do those 3 things, I think we've got a really good chance of being the first country in the world to end the epidemic.
Okay. Taking you back to Elton John, he's a friend as well as a colleague.
Yes.
He set up the foundation in 1992, so that's quite a while back.
Yeah.
He's now 77 years old.
Yeah.
Is he still heavily involved?
Yes, he is. This is an absolute passion for him, and so he is still very much involved in our advocacy work because he has form on this issue, and so we do a lot of talking to policymakers and lawmakers, and he also fronts a lot of our events, and there's no way that he's stepping back.
And he has a young fan base now as well. He's always collaborating with the likes of Dua Lipa. Does that make a difference?
Yeah, makes a huge difference. And people like Dua and Chappell Roan and artists that he's championed who have their own big fan base and can talk about this issue in a way that their fans will really relate to and understand is incredibly helpful and powerful. So, yeah.
He's still standing.
He is still standing, for sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.